Today's podcast is brought to you by Chikara Wrestle Factory, 4711 Wingate Street, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where they specialize in lucha libre, porosu, European, British, and German styles, mixed martial arts, and the American pro wrestling curriculum, all at the Wrestle Factory, where they strive to create the most well-rounded performers active today. Hey, yo, Fro Wrestling Podcast listeners, help us out, click a subscribe, and show your support. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Fro Wrestling Podcast. This episode, we got all kinds of news and rumors going on in the world of professional wrestling. Before we get started with that, if you get an opportunity, if you are a football fan, for those who follow us pretty actively, you may have found out we have kicked off our Fro Football Podcast. Now that we're deep into free agent season, if you're an NFL fan, by all means, go check out our Fro Football Podcast, also posted on Spreaker, Stitcher, iTunes, all the servers that we typically use. Check that out today. Today we're going to get started with a possible feud for Finn Balor. If you look at the promotional materials that are coming out for post-WrestleMania house shows for Raw, you'll notice that Finn Balor is right now slated to go against Rusev in the matches after WrestleMania. Now, I don't know if this is one of those things where they want to go on tour and give him some tune-up matches before they put him into a major program, but it's interesting to hear that that's going on, considering it's been reported recently, especially by outlets like Wrestle Talk News and WrestleZone, that Rusev actually has a lot of backstage heat right now. He tweeted out some kind of congratulations to Jack Swagger when he requested his release, and he got squashed by the Big Show on Raw. So there's a lot of talk backstage about Rusev wanting to be buried by the company. And at the same time, you got Finn Balor, who is like the future of the franchise, and him coming in and being put into a program with a guy who's like a glorified jobber if the rumors of the heat are true. So interesting that they chose to put Finn Balor against Rusev starting after WrestleMania in all these house shows. Something to keep an eye on. You can't always read too much into that, but at the end of the day, there's a chance Finn Balor will be stuck in what I consider to be a completely worthless program. I got a quote for you from Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy's in the news today, and the conversation was brought up about whether or not he is negotiating with World Wrestling Entertainment and what his prospects are for going to World Wrestling Entertainment. So the quote is this. He says, "I have spoken with people from McMahon's show. I have spoken with people from New Japan Wrestling. I have spoken with people in Mexico. I have spoken with people across the globe. McMahon, you are on Vanguard One's radar. We are watching you very, very closely. I have Vanguard One monitoring you 24/7. McMahon, if you ever try anything shady on my Broken Brilliance, I would be the first man to delete you." And on the topic of appearing at WrestleMania, he said, "Anything is possible." Not that we didn't know that stuff already, but very interesting comments coming out of Matt Hardy. I have said it since we started hearing that they were going to leave TNA, that I would love to see them show up at Mania and have a face-off with the New Day. It's something they've teased on Twitter for a year now. It's been ongoing. It's something the fans want to see. It really wouldn't hurt my feelings too much if they brokered a deal with Ring of Honor to bring them in just for that show. If you really wanted to get creative, really make a deal, bring them in and bring in the Young Bucks. That would be even better. Just saying, now my fantasy booking is going crazy to things that will never happen. But it's definitely something to be excited about, with even the possibility that the Hardys show up at WrestleMania. Joey Ryan's in the news today. He was on Sean Waltman's X-Pac 12360, revealing that he signed a 7-season contract with Lucha Underground. Now, I don't know about you guys, but these Lucha Underground seasons pretty much drive me crazy. You know, they film the things in like January, February in the past. Don't show them until December of the following year, some of the episodes. Like, what are you doing the rest of the year? These seasons are taking too long to get out. They're taking too long to be overproduced. They need to get more content out so the whole global community of wrestling fans can really indoctrinate and fall in love with the Lucha program. Their product is great. I actually enjoy their in-ring action, and I think it's a real nice, fresh way to look at pro wrestling when you get this whole like comic book feel to what they do. But at the end of the day, if you don't start putting out more content, people are going to start changing the channel and look into alternatives. And when you've got companies like Ring of Honor and Impact Wrestling and New Japan even coming on Access Television trying to take up more of the wrestling audience, you better do something that makes a real, no pun intended, impact in the wrestling world, and they're not doing it. Lucha Underground seems to be perfectly happy sitting back and putting on these sporadic seasons. They need to make more of a commitment to a consistent program that runs year-round, because if they don't do that, they're in danger of falling victim to all these other promotions that really are getting it right. On the topic of getting things right, you don't get anything better than Daniel Bryan's commentary. On Talking Smack this week, Daniel Bryan made such a poignant comment. He talked about how he'd be returning to the ring in about a year and a half. Now, or potentially could return to the ring in a year and a half. Now, why don't you just do some math on it here? Daniel Bryan's current contract expires in, say about 18 months, which is roughly, a year and a half. So if what he is saying is true, and there's potential for him to return to the ring in a year and a half, it makes you feel like Daniel Bryan really doesn't want to be in WWE. He doesn't want the contract he has, and that he knows that WWE is just not going to let him out of that deal. It seems like every week he says whatever, whenever, wherever he wants on these Talking Smack episodes. I love it because it's like a shoot promo every week. But at the end of the day, how long can that go on before Vince McMahon shuts him down? And here's the reality, and this has happened before to like Rey Mysterio. When you're under contract at WWE and you're injured, they can sit there and they can postpone your contract longer than you'd like them to because you're injured. Remember, they had the whole thing with Rey Mysterio's knee, and they didn't want to let him go, and he wanted to go to AAA or Lucha or whatever, CMLL or one of the companies in Mexico, and they wouldn't let him go. They kept extending his contract. Daniel Bryan, as much as I can't wait to see him in the ring again, because I truly believe that'll happen at some point, but I don't want him to say the wrong thing and have McMahon try to play hardball and keep him off the mat. I want to see him get out there and do his thing. Too many people have made comments. Too many doctors have commented that Daniel Bryan is checked out. He's good to go. He's not feeling any side effects from these concussion issues that they're so concerned with. Daniel Bryan's even made note that he has an interest in doing a slightly different form of wrestling, a different style that would limit how dangerous he would have to be in the ring. That's huge. That's him going ahead and adapting his personality to what needs to be done so he could be successful, but he can also, keep himself safe. I'm going to move on to some independent news. I know I have a lot of people who have been sending me messages saying, hey, listen, you haven't talked a whole lot about the United Kingdom or Germany or Japan or any of these lately. I apologize for that. I'm going to take care of that tonight. We're going to start with in Germany. The xWx 16 karat gold 2017 taking place from March 10th to the 12th. Night 1 it starts at 8 o'clock. You can see all sorts of talents appearing. It's a tournament called the 16 karat gold 2017 tournament. Cody Rhodes will be in the tournament. He's going to be going against DeMac. JT Dunn will be in the tournament. Timothy Hatcher, the former Evolve champion. Bad Bones, John Klinger is going to be against Paul London. That's a first round match. David Starr, Walter, ACH will be in there. Donovan Dijak, the former Ring of Honor standout, is going to be taking on Matt Riddle in the first round. In night 2, they're going to have the WXW Unified World Wrestling Championship match is going to be taking place between Jern Simmons and the current champion Axel Dieter Jr. And then night 3, you'll have Alpha Kevin versus Marius Van Beethoven in a no ropes match. So, very interesting booking. It's great to see Cody expanding into the German audience. I'm sure he's got a huge following over there, if from no other reason, just his exposure from WWE programming. But to see Donovan Dijak and ACH and Cody and people like that, Matt Riddle, all in the same tournament makes for the potential for some really great matches in the later rounds. AAW has the Chaos Theory, which took place on March 4th. All kinds of things going on there. You had Scarlett and Graves over the besties in the world. You had Jessica Havoc over Samantha Heights. All Ego Ethan Page defeated Kruger. Zero Gravity, which is their high-flying tag team, defeated Ace Perry and Paco Gonzalez, and Louis Linden and Stephen Wolf. AR Fox was victorious over JT Dunn. So if you're into these independent companies, some of these people are potentially the stars of the future for WWE. They have a guy there named Brubaker who's relatively awesome. He went over Eric Cannon. Buck Nasty and Cody Rice went over Mike Hartenbauer and Space Monkey. ACH was there. He's the AAW Heritage Champion. He defeated Desmond Xavier to retain his title. And, the worldly traveled Sami Callihan, he is the AAW Heavyweight Champion right now. He defeated Rey Fenix to retain his championship. So good card top to bottom. Revolution Pro had their live event at the Cockpit 14 on March 5th. All sorts of stuff going on here. Zach Gibson was over Eddie Dennis. David Starr over Bubblegum. The Mustache Mountain tag team of Trent Seven and Tyler Bate defeated the Revolutionists. James Castle and Shaw Samuels. Dave Mastiff defeated Jeff Cobb, who is Montanza Cueto in Lucha Underground. Ryan Smile defeated Pete Dunne. The Pete Dunne, the guy who hopefully will debut on Raw or SmackDown after Mania. Jas Bodum over RJ Singh. And Matt Riddle over Timothy Timothy Hatcher, as I said before, the former Evolve champion, and CCK, which is Chris Brooks and Travis Banks, defeated Charlie Sterling and Joel Redmond to win the RPW Tag Team Championship. So good show top to bottom. And for the Japanese wrestling fans, New Japan Pro Wrestling's 45th anniversary show took place on the 6th. Manabu Nakanishi over Tomoyuki Oka. The Chaos faction had Gedo, Hiroki Goto, Jado, Yoshihashi. They defeated Suzuki Gun, which was comprised of Davey Boy Smith Jr., El Desperado, Minoru Suzuki, and Tasha Michinoku. The Bullet Club, consisting of Bad Luck Fale, Kenny Omega, Tama Tonga, Tonga Roa, and Yujiro Takahashi. They defeated David Finlay, Jushin Liger, Tiger Mask 4, and Toji Makabe, and Yuji Nagata. All those names, look, if you are not a New Japan fan, I'm going to say this every time I talk New Japan. If you're not watching these guys, you're missing a show, because they are off the charts amazing. Roppongi Vice actually fell in a match. They lost the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championship to Suzuki Gun faction members Tai Chi and Yoshinobu Kaminuro. Again, the tag team wrestling over there is so much different than here in the United States. Here we get, these slapstick teams thrown together and hope that they work out. Every once in a while it works with people like the New Day, but at the end of the day, in Japan, you've got a great tag team division, both in the junior heavyweights and in the heavyweights. Zack Sabre Jr. was there. He went over Katsuhiro Shibata to win the RPW British Heavyweight Championship. Interesting to see that championship defended on a New Japan show, but that was a feud that was building for months. Tenkozi, which is made up of Hiroshi Tenzan and Satoshi Kojima, they defeat Chaos members Tomohiro Ishii and Toru Yano to win the IWGP Tag Team Championship. This was a last-minute switch because of the injury to Hanma that we spoke about earlier in the week, where he hurt his neck really, really bad, lost feeling and sensation in all of his extremities. He's since made somewhat of a recovery there, in that he can feel everything. We're still not sure how long he'll be out, but the replacements, Tenkozi, end up taking the IWGP Tag Team Championship. Bushi, Evil, Sonata, Tetsuya Naito, they go over Hiroshi Tanahashi, Juice Robinson, Kushida, and Michael Elgin. Again, killer back and forth match. In the United States, you see an 8-man tag team match, you usually get upset. You're like, this is just wasting time. Everybody's going to come in and hit their finishing move, and then somebody's going to pin somebody. New Japan is not like that. They really put on entertaining matches, no matter how many people are out in the ring. So, definitely worth the watch. Hiromu Takahashi, he ends up defending his IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship against Ryuki Taguchi. Successful defense for him. And in the main event, Kazuchika Okada, the IWGP Heavyweight Champion, defeats Tiger Mask W. So, great matches top to bottom, killer programming from both the German audience, the Revolution Pro people in the United Kingdom, and New Japan Pro Wrestling. So it's great to see some results from shows outside of WWE, Ring of Honor, Impact Wrestling, the typical three here in the United States. Throw Lucha Underground in there if you really want to, but at the end of the day, it's nice to see something different. This day in pro wrestling history, 21 years ago, Mick Foley left ECW to join the World Wrestling Federation and become the Mick Foley's Mankind character. 8 years ago today, on Raw from Jacksonville, Florida, John Bradshaw Layfield, JBL, defeats CM Punk to win the WWE Intercontinental Championship. This win was huge because JBL became the 10th Grand Slam champion in WWE history by winning this championship from Punk. I honestly couldn't remember that match until today when I was researching This Day in Pro Wrestling History that I typically do. 5 years ago today, Jerry Lynn announced that he was intended to retire at the end of the year. Fortunately for fans who like to see him wrestle, he actually held it off a little bit past the end of the year. He made it to his 25th anniversary of being in the business, but 5 years ago today is when he announced his intentions to retire. And today is happy 38th birthday. Cannot believe I'm about to say 38th birthday for Melina Perez. Melina doesn't look a day over 25, but Melina Perez, 38th birthday. Happy birthday to her. She guided the career of Johnny Nitro when he first came out. Now became Johnny Mundo, or whatever you want to call him, depending on where he's wrestling. But without her, I don't know that his career would have taken off the way it did. The experience she had with Eminem, the opportunities she had in the women's division, being a Divas champion multiple times. Melina Perez, happy birthday. Today, the look back match for today's episode is going to be something that I don't know if everybody has already seen or not, but every once in a while, you want to take a look back at something that, it was a famous match, but you don't always appreciate it. You remember the big spots, you remember the high spots, the ones that you see on replays and everything else, but you don't always remember all the rest of the action that went into the match. And I'm looking at one of the biggest matches in wrestling history, the famous Hell in a Cell match between Mick Foley as Mankind and The Undertaker. When you think about that match, the only thing people seem to remember is Mick Foley being thrown off the top of that cage, which if you ever watched Beyond the Mat, the movie, the documentary, he actually talks about how that wasn't even the worst part of the match. When he got chokeslammed through the top of the cage and cracked his head on the mat, that was actually worse, but it didn't look as impactful. At the end of the day, though, those two spots are relatively, isolated as the only thing people look at when you think about that match. That match was a great match, start to finish, top to bottom. So I encourage you, go back to YouTube, pull that match up, take a look at it again, watch as if you were watching it for the first time, because really, it was a fantastic match. We're going to go into our fantasy booking section for this episode. We keep getting you guys going with this tournament that we've been doing. We're going to give you matches number 13 and 14 today. So today's matches: Dean Ambrose taking on Diamond Dallas Page, the soon-to-be WWE Hall of Famer, and Sting going against Kane. Now, for those people who know, Sting versus Kane has actually happened before, but it was long before Kane was a premium star. There's a match from WCW and he's pretty much a glorified jobber, and Sting just wipes the mat with him. But we're talking about these people all in their primes. So go to YouTube, in the comments section for this episode, tell me which two people win those matches. Dean Ambrose versus Diamond Dallas Page, and Sting taking on Kane. And as I said before, this 64-man tournament, your votes are what counts. We're going to tally who you vote for in those comments, and then we're going to move those people on into the next rounds of the tournament, try to see where we end up with this 64-man get-together. If you guys haven't heard me say this before 100 times, please do me a favor. When you log onto this podcast, I hope you enjoy everything we do here. I hope you like hearing your WWE news. I hope you like the fact that we try to include Ring of Honor, Impact Wrestling, Lucha Underground, the typical programs here in the United States. I really hope you appreciate the fact that I really try to bring you a lot of international news if I can. I think it's important for us to realize where these people come from before they make it to WWE. But when we're doing this, I need to know that you enjoy it, so I know which things to make sure I do more of. And the way I do that is if you give me reviews and subscribes. If you're subscribing, it means you like what I'm saying. If you're giving me a review, it means you're telling me exactly what you want to hear, and I love that. Please give us a review, give us a subscribe, no matter what service you use to stream or listen to this podcast. Please do that for us. Don't forget about the Fro Life Planning Contest. For those of you who don't know what Fro Life Planning is, we help students and adult learners find their path to higher education, being it college, a university, or whatever, or that new career, if that's what you need. Every month, the Fro Life Planning Contest gives away one free 30-minute one-on-one phone consultation to a lucky winner to help them plan their next step, whether that's college, whether it's a job, whether it's a career technical opportunity, whatever it is, we like to help you get there. There's no purchase necessary, but you do have to follow a couple steps. First off, launch iTunes in your computer and go to the Fro Wrestling Podcast page on iTunes. Click on the subscribe button right in the iTunes app, and then click on ratings and reviews. When you get in there, there'll be a space for you to actually write a review. Please do that. Give us some feedback. We want to make this show everything it can be, and your feedback helps us do that. Click submit, and then go to our website at www.frolifeplanning.com/contest, and you'll be entered for a chance to have that one-on-one phone consultation if you put your email in the link there and submit it. I can match them up, see who my contestants are each month, and give that opportunity to one lucky person out there. That's all the time we have for this episode, but by all means, check back with us in episode 39. We're going to have all the reviews and happenings of what's going on in the wrestling world and all the shows that we try to bring together for this podcast. Special thanks, as always, go out to bensound.com and purpleplanet.com for producing all of our music and sound effects that we used in today's show. Tonight's podcast was sponsored in part by Beazle Games. Bringing a new friend to family game night is easy with sketchy people. Showcase your artistic side in this new game from Beazle Games and bringing the fun and excitement back to family game night by going to www